Minneapolis and St Paul have been misunderstood for decades. Minnesota nice? Maybe, but boring? No. From mild misconceptions to a capital city mistake that nobody sees coming, in this video, I'm going to be unpacking the top myths you probably still believe. By the end of this video, you're going to question everything you thought you knew and hopefully learn a thing or two as well. So let's dig in. Myth number one is it's always freezing cold in Minnesota. This one comes up on almost every conversation that I have with people that are moving to Minnesota from out of state. And I get it. People picture us all bundled up in our heavy coats all year round, never going outside except for shoveling snow. But here's a crazy fact that actually might surprise you. Just last week, which was the second week in June, we were over 100 degrees on our feels like temp in the Twin Cities, and our all-time high is 108 degrees. That's almost as hot as any temperature ever recorded in the entire state of Florida. So let that sink in for just a minute. We've been just as hot as Miami, as hot as Tampa, and as hot as just about anywhere in the Sunshine State. So since we go from such high highs to low lows, the truth honestly is we really do get all four seasons as we transition from the high to the low. That's our spring and fall. But unlike Florida, it is easy to cool off because we got so many great local lakes to jump into, and frankly, the AC works just fine. And speaking of lakes, wait until you see how many lakes are in Minneapolis compared to St. Paul. Spoiler alert, it's a pretty big difference. But first, let me give you some more facts about our seasons. Spring and fall are a perfect blend of those mild temperatures that makes you want to spend pretty much every moment outside. And yes, winters can definitely be cold, but here's what most people actually don't know. Last winter and the year before were the warmest winters on record for Minnesota, which was beating the previous record by a full 2 degrees. And here's another fun fact that surprises people. Though winters here can be cold, we actually get more sunlight hours in midwinter than many other warmer parts of the country. More hours than the Great Lakes states, than the Pacific Northwest, than parts of the South, and almost all of the Northeast, actually. So what does that actually mean for those of us that live here? Well, Minnesotans spend their summers outside. We're up at the cabin, we're hiking, we're camping, we're at state parks, and our family in particular loves getting up and exploring the North Shore on Lake Superior. So when winter does come, both Minneapolis and St. Paul are going to be ready for it. Our major roads get plowed pretty quickly because, honestly, we have to. Now that we've cleared up that weather myth, let's talk about one of the other stereotypes that makes me laugh every time I hear it. But before you do that, this channel is all about moving to and living in the Twin Cities, so please make sure to subscribe. We'd love to have you a part of our little group. Myth number two is going to be that Twin Cities crime is really high. And if you've been around for my channel for a while, you've probably noticed I actually don't talk about crime rates very often. If you've ever wondered why, well, frankly, it can get me in really hot water really fast. And if you want to know more about that, you can go search my channel for the questions I can't answer video that I made. But the short answer is they don't want real estate professionals to stigmatize areas based on what our opinion of what high or low crime might be. For example, I've got clients that'll move here from Chicago or LA, and also clients from rural Nebraska. And they're going to be coming with completely different mindsets of what high crime is for them. If I could be even more honest, there's about a gazillion different ways that I can get sued, so the powers that be basically don't want us talking at all about those things, besides to give you the data sources so that you can make that judgment for yourself. A couple of tips that you're going to find helpful when deciding what a safe place to live for you might look like. Number one is that you got to realize that the Twin Cities is a huge metro area made up of literally dozens of different cities that are all kind of lumped together. So when you're looking at a different website or article, you've got to make sure if you're looking at Minnesota in general, the Twin Cities as a whole, or Minneapolis or St. Paul individually. Those are going to make a huge difference with the numbers that you're looking at. Almost always, articles that I see are talking about the actual city of Minneapolis and not the entire metro as a whole. Minneapolis as a city is going to be one of the higher ranked cities for the US as far as crime goes. However, according to Statista, the Twin Cities metro actually doesn't even crack the top 50 for the most dangerous metros per capita. So while the city of Minneapolis may be ranked higher than other metros, Twin Cities overall is actually quite low. What's even more important is if you're looking at the suburbs, you're going to want to make sure you look at specifically each different city and compare that as its crimes per capita to other similar cities around the country. So look at where you're from, for example, and then compare that to Eden Prairie or Maple Grove or whichever suburb that might have your eye. And to that point, crime tip number two is you're going to always want to make sure that you're looking at not just the quantity of crimes that happen in a city, but you're going to want to be looking at the quantity of crimes that happen per capita so that you are comparing apples to apples. Number three, you're going to look at crime data from places like the FBI or police department websites. And you're going to look at data-based websites instead of the more algorithm or opinion-based sites, which are going to be really based on other people's reviews and opinions. But back to our myths. Myth number three is going to be there's nothing fun to do around the Twin Cities. And I get it. You think we live up here in the sticks and there's just not much going on. Honestly, you're totally wrong. And if you don't believe me, you can actually go to hotdishnews.com, which is the weekly newsletter that I put out. Just look at the past episodes and you're going to see a really wide range of different activities for people of all different interest types. Let me give you a great example. I'm currently helping an amazing client who's moving to Minnesota from California, and she absolutely loves biking. So we're currently actually looking for homes very specifically close to the amazing bike trail systems around the Twin Cities. And there's a ton of them. From the Sioux Line Trail, you've got the Cedar Lake Trail, you've got the Minneapolis Greenway, you've got the Mississippi River, the Loose Line Trail, and so many more. So for somebody with that type of an interest, there's a ton of great options. And I love playing matchmaker like that for people of all different interests. So another client I had recently moved to Blaine because their kids are seriously into soccer and they love going to Minnesota United soccer games down in St. Paul. Another client loves the arts and culture scene, so they moved to Northeast Minneapolis and they were so excited to check out places like the Walker Art Center, Minneapolis Institute of Art, and the Guthrie Theater. Personally, I'm from Colorado. We've got 4 boys, so genuinely, if you like to get outside, we've got so many amazing places and things to do, from our state parks to the local lakes to great waterfalls and long distance hiking and backpacking, which is something I'm into, and especially if you love a great weekend road trip. So this state has so many cool destinations to hit up that we've actually created an entire section in that Hot Dish newsletter specifically to people looking to get out, check out the rest of the state with a road trip, or do fun things like figuring out how to canoe for the first time. Truly, there's so many amazing things to do up in northern Minnesota. The city of Minneapolis has 13 lakes right in the city, and so that's why it's called the City of Lakes. Those are also all going to be connected by trails and roads like the Grand Round Scenic Byway. They link the rivers, the creeks, the wetlands, and even a waterfall. We've got Minnehaha Falls, which is one of the best little spots. It's got a beautiful waterfall, it's got an easy hikes down to the river, and it's a great day spot to take the family. Together, the parks in both Minneapolis and St. Paul are consistently ranked among the best around the entire country with stuff to do year-round. Myth number 4 is going to be Minneapolis is the state capital. It actually seems kind of silly because Minneapolis is bigger and generally has more stuff to do than St. Paul, but it's not. St. Paul is in fact the capital of Minnesota. That's where our state government is, and that's going to be the main city in Ramsey County, which again has all that government stuff. Minneapolis, on the other hand, is much more about business and commerce and fun stuff to do, quite honestly. It's going to be in Hennepin County, and it's going to be the state's main commercial center. So why don't we talk about that one a little bit more with myth number 5, which is going to be Minneapolis and St. Paul are essentially the same thing. If that's what you think, it couldn't be further from the truth. They're actually pretty different. So here's what you need to know to pick the better side of town for you. There's a 13-year gap between Minneapolis and St. Paul, where St. Paul is just a little bit older, but it definitely has an older, more stately, historic type of vibe to it. Minneapolis, on the other hand, is going to feel a little bit more youthful. They've got the trendy restaurants, the nightlife, the theater, and the clubs. So St. Paul is going to be a little bit quieter, and they're more about the major museums. So they've got the Children's Museum and the Minnesota History Museum are probably the most notable. There's also a difference in size. So Minneapolis covers about 58.4 square miles, where St. Paul is a bit smaller at 56.1 square miles. That's not a huge difference, but here's the thing, Minneapolis actually has 38% more people. So even though they're pretty similar in geographic size, Minneapolis is definitely a little bit busier of a feel. Culturally, they're going to be totally different vibes as well. So with St. Paul, you've got the Minnesota State Fair, you've got the stunning St. Paul Cathedral, you've got the Science Museum, wild hockey games going on, and the St. Paul Saints baseball team. Minneapolis, on the other hand, that's going to be where you're going to find that Minneapolis Institute of Arts, the Walker Art Center, the Guthrie Theater, you've got the Twins, Timberwolves, and Vikings, and Lynx all playing in downtown Minneapolis. Geography is going to play a part too. So Minneapolis, 13 lakes inside the city, whereas St. Paul has only got 7. Now that's going to change how the neighborhoods were planned and where people are going to hang out. And then you've also got the rivers going right in between. So if you're looking for great trails along the river, St. Paul especially is going to be good for that. The most popular neighborhoods are going to show a little bit different style as well. So with St. Paul, you're going to have neighborhoods like the Grand Avenue, Summit Ave, Mac Grove, or Lower Town neighborhoods. Lots of older historic charm and a little bit more mansions. Minneapolis is going to be focusing on the North Loop, which is mostly condos. You've got Uptown and Northeast Minneapolis. These are going to be more modern, artsy types of areas and very lively. Each of these different neighborhoods are going to have a little bit different look and feel and overall community vibe. So there you go, 5 big myths about the Twin Cities you may not have known. I would love to know if there's more myths you think we should cover in the future. And if you're thinking about buying or selling or especially relocating to the Twin Cities, I'm your guy. About 2/3 of my business comes from YouTube with folks exactly like you. So look in the description down below, grab my information, feel free to go sign up for the Hot Dish newsletter if you'd like to, and I'll see you next time.